Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello all, I hope you all are doing well. This is Dr. Anganchan Gupta from the Department of Management, Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, Bangalore campus. I welcome you all on behalf of the Swayam program. Uh, um, you know, Today we will be covering our ninth lecture on perfect competition. And this is the first lecture um, on market, and where we will learn different types of market. Till date, we have covered consumer behavior, where we dealt with utility, we dealt with demand and supply, price, market equilibrium, and that's it. Where else, then after we talked about theories of farm, where we discussed about production and consumption in short run, long run, and so on and so forth. And this is our ninth lecture, where we'll start discussing about different types of market. And then this lecture will be focusing upon perfect competition. Okay, so let me share the slides with you. So today we will discuss about perfect competition, and this is our ninth lecture. And what you know before we discuss about perfect competition, we must learn about different types of market structures. There are four types of market structures, basically, that depends upon the level of competition they are facing. Now, if a particular market structure, if a particular market, there is enormous competition, then that is known as perfect competition. The market power for each and every firm existing in that particular market, in that particular industry, is very less, then that is known as perfect competition. And lesser the competition, it moves to the monopolistic competition. Further lesser competition and more concentration of power, it goes to the oligopoly. And then the least competition is the monopoly, where there is only one firm, one producer in that particular industry or for that particular market. So the least competition is the monopoly, one extreme, where it's the entire concentration of the power, the decision making is on that particular firm and that particular producer or the supplier. Whereas where there is more competition, the other extreme, the highest amount of competition, least amount of concentration of power, is known as a perfectly competitive market. Let us show that these four market structures, how they are defined based on certain basic characteristics. So we will start with whether a particular firm in a particular market, they are price taker or price maker or price searcher. Price taker is they cannot decide the price, they take whatever is the price that is determined by the market or the actors within that market. In that market, the consumers as well as the suppliers, they are discussing, they are bargaining, interacting amongst each other, and then determining the price. So the supplier, the firm, or the firms do not have the decision making authority, at least in terms of the price. There is only one type of market where all the firms are price takers, they are not price makers. On the contrary, if a particular firm can be a price maker, then there are three types, all other three types. So the first level of classification or the categorization takes place based on whether a firm within a particular industry can decide that another aspirant who wants to enter the market or that industry can enter or not, easily enter or not. Is there any barrier to enter for that particular new entrant or aspirant? If there is no barrier, anyone and everyone can enter that particular market. But all those firms, so there are 10 firms, another 11th firm wants to enter, but all these 11 firms are going to be price makers. They can decide their prices. Then this is a monopolistic competition, right? There is no barrier. So you are welcoming competition, but you are price makers. So you have a tendency towards the monopolistic nature. So the monopolistic competition. Now, the rest two types of markets, they are monopoly and oligopoly. They can decide that whether another new entrant, like they are going to entertain a new one or not. They can decide that. Hence, the classification between the monopoly and oligopoly takes place based on the number of firms existing in that particular market. So the common characteristics between monopoly and oligopoly are both of them are price searcher, and they enforce a barrier to entry towards the new ones. Now, according to the number of firms, if there is only one firm, then that is a monopoly. Mono is one. If there are more than one firms, let us take two firms, then that is known as duopoly. Let us forget about that for the time being. If there are few firms, then that is known as oligopoly. We will talk about oligopoly in our next to next class. On the 11th lecture, we'll talk about oligopoly. But for the time being, now the first level is whether they are price taker or price searcher or price maker. If they are price takers, competitive market. If they are price searchers, whether there is barriers to entry or not. If there is barriers to entry, they can be monopoly, oligopoly. But if there is no barrier to entry, then that is monopolistic competition. But how do we define monopoly or oligopoly? That is based on the number of firms. So if there is only one firm, then that's a monopoly. If there are more than one firms, few firms, then that is known as oligopoly. Let us discuss about them in a little more detail. So the first characteristics, we are discussing around three characteristics over here. The first one is number of firms in both perfect competition and monopolistic competition. As you entered in competition, there are many firms. In oligopoly, few firms. In monopoly, only one firm. So monopolistic competition and perfect competition, wherever there is competition, there are large number of firms. When there are only few firms, oligopoly. Only one firm, monopoly. Clear? Next is type of product. In a perfectly competitive market, so what is the difference between, one difference we have already learned, that the price taker or price maker. So that is the first level of understanding, and we are not discussing that point over here anymore. All right. So the next one is type of product. That differentiates between perfect competition and monopolistic competition. That is whether the type of product is identical or not. In a perfectly competitive market, everyone is producing at least theoretically similar type of product, homogeneous product, identical product for a given price, right? Whereas in monopolistic competition, one can intentionally, they can decide that I will differentiate the product. Somehow my product will be little different than the others. In oligopoly, the products can be identical or differentiated as well. In monopoly, it is unique. Why unique? Because that is only one firm. Whatever they are producing, that is only being marketed. The consumers can get only that. So you cannot get anything else. So that is going to be unique. All right. If there is, say, only, okay, we'll come to that, the example later in just a minute or two. In ease of entry, in perfect competition and monopolistic competition, we have learned that they entertain competition. So high is, so it's very easy to enter these kinds of markets, whereas oligopoly, it's very low, it's very difficult to enter. Monopoly, it's almost blocked, because a monopoly polistic firm, they will never entertain someone. The moment at least the tiniest one enters, then their monopoly is gone, right? So they have, even if it is just 1% threat, they have a threat, or there is someone else who is producing. Maybe their existing is too small to keep a threat, to put a competition against them. But otherwise, monopoly wants to be the sole supplier. All right. The examples for perfect competition market, for competitive market, it's like, say, tea market. When you go out, you know that all the tea producers, they are producing almost the similar tea. Any tea shop you go, there are 100 tea shops in your area, everyone is producing the same tea. Maybe it's a wheat market or rice market. For a given price, you know the characteristics of the wheat and rice, the quality of the wheat and rice is going to be similar. Monopolistic competition, it can be DVDs, it can be restaurants, it can be the toothpaste. Some toothpaste has salt, some toothpaste has gel, some toothpaste have tulsi, some toothpaste has clove, long, so there are different types of toothpastes. Probably they do, or everyone does the same thing, but they want to sell it differently, so that they have a uniqueness, they are somehow different than the others. And if you can convince your customers that this one, having salt in toothpaste is better than having tulsi, uh, you get a customer, you get more customers, right? The same thing can happen for soap, for any kind of FMCG, fast moving consumer goods products. It can be like, say, washing powder, detergents, like, so some says that they have jasmine, someone has nimbu, lemon, so there are different types. Whereas almost the same product but differentiated. Whereas in oligopoly, it's like computer manufacturers, you just have few. Apple, you have Lenovo, you have Dell, you have HP, but you do not have a lot of them. You may have Asus, not very frequent in Indian markets, but only a few. So but there can be products which are absolutely identical, they are using the same configuration, same Windows, same Intel, everything is same, uh, but just the look is different. Whereas the manufacturing cars is also a great example of oligopoly. There are only few market players, large market players, otherwise everyone is smaller. Like, say, in Indian market, we have Maruti Suzuki, we have Tata, we have Hyundai, who are the largest ones, and then you have several, like, say, Honda, you have Renault, the smaller ones, and then you have only few of certain other manufacturers. So this is an oligopoly, you do not have many. Whereas in terms of monopoly, Indian railways have been the great example of monopoly, because you want to ride a railways, right? Want to ride a train in India, you have to buy a ticket from Indian Railways or IRCTC, even though it is outsourced. But that is the only one source, and whatever is provided, whichever train runs, all of them are under Ministry of Railways. Even though now recently it has been decided that they are going to be privatized. The moment they are privatized, um, so one private train is running on trial. So once they are privatized, it is no more a perfect example of a monopoly. Electricity, yes, like, say, in Calcutta, we have Calcutta Electricity Supply Corporation. In Bangalore, we have Bescom. So they are the only suppliers of electricity. So in each state, in few places, maybe there are one or two. If that is only one, then you do not have any choice to get electricity from any other provider. They are the only provider in your city, and hence they are kind of perfect examples of monopoly. Whatever they are charging per unit of your electricity cost, your consumption, you have to pay that. You do not have any other option, right? Um, so today we'll discuss about perfectly competitive markets, and when we discuss about the perfectly competitive market, we will primarily focus upon certain characteristics, conditions, which are, you know, which determine that whether a market is perfectly competitive or not. The first one being there are many buyers and sellers, a large number of buyers and sellers. Number two is all the firms are so okay. Number one, that as there are many sellers, we have understood, we have just discussed about that anyone can enter the industry, anyone can enter the market, so anyone can open a tea stall and sell. So it's basically a, there is no competition, and that is why there are a large number of seller. Anyone, I want to start a stall, I want to I can start it. No one is going to stop me. Theoretically, there can be gundas, there can be local leaders, there can be other association of tea stall owners, there can be several other things, but theoretically, textbook wise, uh, there will be a lot of sellers, and when you start or someone else starts a business, there is no problem. At the same time, there are many buyers, so a lot of demand is generated in that market. All firms sell the identical products for the same price. There is no differentiation. There is characteristically there is no differentiation that I produce A and sell A, he produce B or sell B. So we can have a differentiation. So those who like A, they will come to me. Those who like B, they will come to him, and we can tweak the price little bit. No, it does not happen like that. Yes, so everyone is selling the homogeneous similar product, absolutely similar product. No barriers to new firms entering the market, free flow of information. Everyone has near perfect information or perfect information. There is no information asymmetry. Every seller knows that who is producing what and at what price people are selling what commodity. Every seller knows that who is producing what and what price the sellers are selling. So everyone has equal amount of information, and there is no dubiousity about that. And finally, they all are price takers. They do not have any control over the industry, over the market, and they cannot influence the prices. Whatever the price, if they can survive, they will continue in that business. If they cannot survive, they have to shut the stall and go ahead. So they all are price takers. I if I think that at this price I'm not getting customers, I will say 5 rupees a cup. I sell tea, and I think that at 5 rupees a cup I am not making enough money. I will increase the price six. I will lose all my customers because everyone else is selling at 5 rupees. If I think that I am not getting enough customer at 5 rupees, I should decrease the price at 4, and probably by that, by the virtue of that, I will get more customers, and I reduce the price from 5 to 4. You know what happens then? I do not really make a lot of profit. What can happen in a crude understanding that because everyone else is selling at 5 rupees and I'm selling at 4 rupees, and I'm supplying the same quality of commodity, or as the others are selling at a lower price, so everyone will come to me. All right. What happens when everyone comes to me? Then the others will lose their business, so they will also drop their price from 5 to 4, and then the market settles down at 4, right? So and then those who cannot continue at that 4 rupees, they think that okay, the market has decided that they will supply at 4. I cannot continue at this price because there can be several other issues. I cannot cover the cost at 4 rupees. I will stop. you know this shut the store. So like whenever there is a loss, there will be few who are going out of the business. Whenever there is profit, then there will be new entrants in the market, because if we see that, say, just for an example, in the COVID, there are so many restaurants in any big city. Say in Bangalore, there are so many restaurants. Now, after, say, this is a prolonged lockdown, or even if there is no lockdown, most of the customers are really afraid of going to restaurants, or even delivering the food at home. So they are very afraid. So few of the restaurant owners may think that I'm not making enough profit, let me stop this business. And so they will close their business, they will close their shop. um, and if there is a profit, so they say, those who are manufacturing mask or sanitizer, suddenly there is a profit, there is a high demand and all. And probably, when corona just started, two or three or four started selling masks, and then now everyone, even probably your local tailor, is stitching a mask and selling, right? Because there is a demand, there is a profit. People are not buying new shirts because people have lost jobs and all. No one is going out, not many are going out. I have not bought a shirt, even if I had a plan, because I'm working from home, I'm teaching online, so I do not really need new shirts now. And hence I'm currently wearing a 5-year-old shirt. And I don't think that I'm going to buy a shirt in next at least 3-4 months. So hence, those who were the tailors, they were supplying the shirts and pants, they may move to some other products, like, say, they may move to kind of PPs, masks and all, because there is a profit and it attracts, and there is no one who can stop you. You have a stitching machine, you have all this expertise, and you can manufacture that, right? And people know that at what price these masks are being sold, what is the demand, where I can sell, and all this, how to manufacture them. Everyone has all the information. We also know that what should be the price of a particular PPE and all. So this is how a perfectly competitive market works in a storyline. I just told you the story. Now I will take you towards the graphs, the mathematical explanations and all this. Um, so a demand curve of a perfectly competitive market is generally a horizontal line, which is parallel to the x-axis. So, as you know, a demand curve will always signify the price versus quantity. So, in the y-axis you can see price, and the x-axis you can see quantity, and then so this is dollar for this borrowed diagram. So, a firm can wish to sell 3,000 units of wheat. Another can say sell 7,500, and this is how you get a market demand um, for that entire perfectly competitive market. So for each individual farm, like, say, farm A can, at the 4 rupees or $4, they can produce 3,000 quintals or 3,000 kgs of wheat. Another can produce 4,000, another can produce 5,000, another can produce 1,000, and together you at 4 rupees, that is the total market demand, right? Aggregation of individual demands. And supply curve is basically a marginal cost curve. We'll look at that, that how does it look like a marginal cost curve. You all know, if you have gone through these lectures, that how a marginal cost curve looks like. And here what we observe is, in a particular market, it's a, you can see the diagram A shows the market supply and market demand. um, So this is a market supply and market demand, okay, in a general phenomena. Whereas for a perfectly competitive market, we have observed that everyone is a price taker. If the price falls, I told you, they may not survive the business, so they may go out. So the demand, or sorry, the supply of the output completely falls. Uh, so therefore, it's like the demand curve is horizontal. So whatever the unit of output, the price is given, and they cannot determine the price. It's fixed over here. Whatever the unit of output being produced. So this is the individual firms demand curve, whatever they are facing, right? So it does not change. So therefore, remember that the demand curve for a perfectly competitive market will be a straight line parallel to the x-axis or the output axis. All right. And in a market demand and market supply, the left side is of course a equilibrium condition where the supply and demand converges. We get the equilibrium quantity for a equilibrium price, and that price will determine the overall firm's price. For all the firms, they are going to take that price and operate. So say farm Angan Gupta at price P will probably produce 10 unit. Priya Gupta at the price of P, maybe she will produce 15 units, and someone else will produce something else. So that will form the intermarket supply. Let's go to the next slide. So in a short run farm equilibrium, we can basically observe four conditions. One is supernormal profit. Another one is normal profit, suffer minimum losses, and shutdown point. So a supernormal profit is where they have a positive profit. uh, the marginal revenue is more than the marginal cost. Our normal profit is whereas the economic profit is zero, so the total revenue and the total cost, or the marginal revenue, marginal cost, are similar. Minimum losses are where they are covering the variable cost, or cannot the the loss the total cost is more than the total revenue, then there is a loss. If there is a minimum loss, they may still continue in the business. If the loss is really high, if the loss is more than the variable cost that they cannot cover, I mean, the revenue cannot cover their variable costs, their day-to-day costs, then that is not really a minimal loss. Then they may go out of the market. And the shutdown point is the kind of an equilibrium point we'll discuss again, where the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. So the average revenue, so we know the total revenue is P into Q, price into quantity is the total revenue, and the average revenue is the total revenue divided by the quantity of output produced. So if we multiply P into Q divided by Q, the average revenue is price. Right. Marginal revenue is the change in total revenue, selling one more unit. Marginal, if you remember, uh, unit change, right? Marginal revenue. So how the revenue changes? When someone sells another extra unit. So how much additional income or revenue is generated with the sale or production of another unit. So this is nothing but the change in the total revenue caused by the change in the quantity sold or produced. So delta TR by delta Q. Now you know that P is a constant, price is a constant. Here price does not move. So delta P and Q. So whenever you are doing the first order derivative differentiation, you will see that the price, the constant comes out, and the delta is applied, the change is applied for the variable component. So P is the constant. So P comes out, and delta PQ, P comes out, delta gets attached to the Q. So P into delta Q divided by delta Q. So this is basically P. So we can basically observe that in a particular first order condition for profit maximization, price is the marginal revenue, which is equals to the average revenue, should be equals to the marginal cost. Why? because profit is basically the difference between the total revenue and total cost. Over here, total revenue minus total cost, and the change in profit. To maximize anything, we have to get the first order derivative as 0. So in order to get a maximized profit, we want to see that from where the profit does not increase anymore. So where we have achieved the peak, so the delta pi by delta q. So after that, the profit does not increase, right? So it is kind of a constant, or it does not, at least is positive. So delta pi by delta q equals, so any extra unit will not increase the profit, is 0. So if you are going to the delta pi by delta q, then the same is applied for delta tr by delta q minus delta TC by delta Q. So the marginal revenue. So the change in revenue divided by change in quantity. Similarly, if you remember, marginal cost is change in cost with one extra unit of production. So change in quantity. So delta R by delta Q is the change in total revenue by change in with respect to one extra unit of quantity, is nothing but the marginal revenue. Change in total cost with one extra unit of quantity of production is marginal cost. So the difference between the marginal revenue and marginal cost, or so if you remember that the total revenue and total cost curve, when their slopes are equal, then there is they were parallel, then there was the maximum profit, right? So the TR minus TC, it will be the maximum. So when the marginal revenue and marginal cost will be equal, so they will be 0. So the first order condition for profit maximization is price equals marginal revenue equals average revenue equals marginal cost. So the second order condition should be where the delta 2 pi by delta q2 should be less than 0. That means then, the, how should I explain that? This is the rate of change. So the first order condition delta pi by, so the second order condition should be delta 2 pi by delta q2 has to be negative, less than 0. What does that mean? That means the first order condition is how much the profit is changing with 1 unit extra quantity of production or sales, how much the profit pi is changing, right? And then it was the difference between the marginal revenue and marginal cost, marginal revenue minus marginal cost, that had to be 0 for the maximization of profit. However, the second order condition should be, as I was mentioning, that it cannot increase any further, right? Basically, it less than 0 means it is going down. So this is the first order condition is the change. The second order condition is the rate of change. So the change is now being negative. So there is a change, but which is falling down. And hence, with further production, the profit does not increase. Instead, it is going down, it is decreasing. Then we are maximizing the profit. Therefore, if the delta pi 2 pi by delta q2 is less than 0, following the same condition of differentiation what we have seen that in the previous first order condition, previous slide, the same thing applies over here, delta 2r by delta q2, the second order condition on total revenue with respect to quantity of production, and for cost with respect to quantity of production will also be less than 0. As the revenue will not increase, revenue will be 0, the cost has to increase. When cost does increase? When you are on the upward sloping part of the cost curve. If you remember, cost curves are like U-shaped. Total cost curve, average variable cost curve. Only average fixed cost is like this, right? Average fixed cost, average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost curve intersects average variable cost and average total cost through its their minimum point. So When we are maximizing our profit, after that, because the revenue is not increasing, the rate of change, revenue only increase when I am increasing the quantity. That is, I sell one pen in 5 rupees, I sell two pen in 10 rupees, I sell three pen in 15 rupees. 5 is constant, and so that 5, that rate of change every time, 5 5 5 5 5, that is not increasing, right? That is constant, that is zero, that change. What is changing? If that is has to be the difference between revenue and cost has to be negative. If this is zero, the other part has to be 0 minus something. 0 minus 5 is minus 5, 0 minus 3 is minus 3, 0 minus 7 is minus 7. So the other part has to be minus 7 means minus 5, minus 3 means loss, right? So further, if I move further, then I am incurring a loss. So the other part, revenue being zero, other part, cost, has to be positive. So the change in cost now is positive. That means with further production, the cost will continue increasing and we will stop there. So which means the slope of a marginal cost curve should be greater than the slope of marginal revenue curve. The rate of change, right, is greater than zero, and this is zero, and hence MC curve should not curve the marginal revenue curve from below. So it cannot, marginal cost curve cannot be above the marginal revenue curve. We'll discuss about this. How do we estimate? Simple thing, the profit is P into Q, that is the total revenue minus total cost. Average profit is profit, total profit, divided by Q. So P into Q by Q minus total cost by Q. We have already learned that total cost divided by Q is the average cost, average total cost. And P into Q by Q, Q and Q cancels, the numerator and denominator. What remains is P, the price minus the average total cost. So price is per unit revenue. Every time I sell a pen, I get 5 rupees, 5 rupees, 5 rupees, 5 rupees. So that is price. Every pen I'm selling at 5 rupees. So that is price. That is per unit revenue. Average total cost is nothing but per unit cost of production. That difference is my average profit. So you bring this Q this side, your profit will be estimated. This total profit is per unit profit multiplied by the quantity of production. So that is the total profit. So the price minus cost into how many units of that commodity you are producing or selling. Let us take an example, a mathematical example, where you see that mathematical problem of economic profits. We are taking an example of a sweet shop in Kolkata. The average price of rasgulla is rupees 10. Since there is a large number of sweet shops, Bengal is like sweets, large number of sweet shops in Kolkata, and any new shop will not affect the price because it's a perfectly competitive market. No one can stop a new shop over there. They can come in, and one particular shop known as Annapurna Sweets estimates that daily total costs, including a normal profit, will be, normal profit is positive profit, will be total cost equals 1000 plus 2q plus 0.01 q square. 1000 plus 2q plus 0.01 q square. Yes, 1000 is your fixed cost. It is not changing with the quantity. Even if quantity is 0, q is 0, total cost is 1000. So that is my fixed cost. Go back to your cost class. So, and whenever quantity of production changes, I am producing, so anything associated with the production is the variable cost. So total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. So to maximize the total profit, how many rasgullas should be produced by Annapurna Sweets each day? And in the short run, how much we will be the daily economic profit in the short run. So what do we do? So this is my total cost. We know that we need to maximize profit. What we need to do? We need to we first need to get the marginal cost. That if I try to increase my production, how much I need to incur for each and every unit of production. So that is how we get it. So this is not changing with quantity of production. So the change of this is 0. This is constant. 2 into q, as I said that this 2 is constant, 2 goes out, delta q by delta q. gets cancelled to 2. For this square, q square, whenever we are taking differentiation, it becomes q to the power n becomes n into q to the power n minus 1. So this n is 2. So 0.01 into 2, so 0.02. N minus 1. Now this 2 minus 1 is q to the power 1. Simple. So 2 plus 0.02, 0.01 into 2 into q to the power 2 minus 1. So that is q1. So delta c by delta q, marginal cost is 2 plus 0.02 to q. Profit is maximized when price equals MR equals MC. We have learned, and equals AR2, average revenue. Now this means marginal revenue minus marginal cost is 0. So let me equate marginal price is 10. Every rasgulla is sold in 10 rupees. Marginal revenue is 10, which is equating with the 2 plus 0.02 into q. And if we solve this, so q minus 10 minus 2, 8. This becomes 1 by 10, 1 by 5. 0.01 is 1 by 10, 0.02 is 2 by 10, 1 by 5, multiply, so we get 400 rasgullas. So to maximize the profit, they need to daily manufacture, produce 400 rasgullas. So what will be the profit? So you know the total profit is the total revenue minus total cost. The revenue is P into Q. So this is P into Q. So Q you have found now 400, price is 10, minus total cost 1000 plus Q is 400, 2 into 400 plus 0.01 into 400 whole square, you get this 600. So their profit will be 600 rupees per day if they are producing 400 rasgullas, and given the condition of this is their total cost and their revenue, their price is 10 rupees. Taking another example on the shutdown price, a lamp manufacturer faces a horizontal demand curve. When we face a horizontal demand curve, when you are in a perfectly competitive market, the firm's total costs are given by the equation TVC equals 150Q minus 20Q squared plus Q cube. Estimate the firm's shutdown price. Now, over here we see the marginal cost equals the change in total variable cost by change in Q. Let me tell you one thing, the shutdown prices will be if they are not being able to cover their average variable cost or the variable cost. That means their day-to-day cost, if they are not able to cover with their revenue, then that is the shutdown price. So their marginal cost will now be estimated in terms of the change in total variable cost by the quantity. So we do not have estimate over the total fixed cost over here. Everything is associated with Q, so there is no mention about total fixed cost. So our total variable cost is this. So let us assume that this is my total cost curve. Anyways, we are dealing with shutdown prices where the marginal revenue should cover, or the revenue should cover the variable cost. If they cannot cover the variable cost, they are definitely going to shut down. If they are covering the variable cost but not the total cost, for the short run, they may still continue, because in the long run, they will find their profit, they will find their, the equilibrium, because they are covering their day-to-day expenses. Anyways, coming back to the problem, so average variable cost equals total variable cost by Q. So this is 150 minus 20Q plus Q square. Q by Q, Q square by Q, Q cube by Q. So 150 minus 20Q plus Q cube by Q, Q square. So marginal cost equals average variable cost, because the average variable cost will be intersected by the marginal cost at their minimum point. And we know the price has to be the price. We are finding here shutdown prices. The price, marginal revenue, has to be equal to marginal cost, right? So given this condition, marginal cost equals average variable cost. I'll just take you through an example. So see, if this is the average variable cost curve, the marginal cost will pass through the, so if there is another average variable cost over here curve, so the marginal variable cost will intersect the average variable cost at its minimum point. Okay, So what we see over here, so the marginal cost equals average variable cost, and at that point only marginal revenue will equate to marginal cost. But equating these two, we find the quantity has to be 10. So if the quantity has to be 10 and marginal cost has to be equal to marginal revenue, or which is nothing but the price, you can just put this 10 in this equation, because this is marginal cost equation. 150 minus 40 into 10 plus 3 into 10 square, 100. 3 into 10 square is 100. You can find the price is 50 rupees. So if they are keeping the price at 50 rupees, they can cover their average variable cost and can manufacture Q equals 10. So the 10 units where they will cover their shutdown cost. So the shutdown prices will be covered. Right? So how do we estimate the profit or loss on the cost curve? See, so over here, this is my average total cost, and this is my marginal cost, which is intersecting the average total cost from the bottommost point. Um, and this is my price, marginal revenue. You know that I will determine my quantity of production, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, because that will give me the highest level of profit. So this is my Q. It's kind of very dull, so I'm sorry for that. So this is my profit maximizing level of output, which I derive from the marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Good enough. Now, if you remember, my profit per unit is the difference between P minus ATC, average total cost, and the total profit is P minus ATC multiplied by the Q. Therefore, P minus ATC, so my this at this quantity, this is my price, marginal revenue equals marginal cost. At this quantity, that determines my quantity. This is my average total cost. So this is the difference at every unit, whatever I will be earning. So the total profit is multiply these many outputs. So this into this is nothing but this area. So this into this is Q, is nothing but this area, this green area. This is your total profit. Similarly, we can also observe the total loss. So same thing over here. See the marginal revenue. So the price is 12.50 rupees or dollar, whatever. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That gives me 6 basketballs per day. And this is my average total cost. Right? And here I am not only covering the average variable cost, I am also covering average total cost, and I am earning a profit. Wonderful, right? So this is my total profit. What happens if my price is 5 rupees? I cannot do anything. The market has determined the price to be 5 rupees. I'm a price taker. So if the price is 5 rupees, so the marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and I will produce over here 3 units. I cannot do anything. This is my minimum loss output. Anything beyond that, my my loss will be higher. So I have to produce something where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. And what I see over here, you can notice that my average total cost for 3 basketballs per day is higher, 7.50 is higher than my marginal revenue, which is 5. So my total loss is 7.50 minus 5, 2.5 into 3 units, 3 quantity, Q into P5 minus ATC 7.5, so 3 into minus 2.5, so 7.5. Anyways, I will still continue over here. This is not my shutdown price. My shutdown price will be somewhere here, where the marginal cost equals average variable cost, and my marginal revenue curve should pass through here. I will still probably continue my production. That's because I am over here covering the variable cost. Variable cost is over here, and partially fixed cost to this much of fixed cost too. So this difference, the difference between average total cost and average variable cost, is nothing but the average fixed cost, which goes like this, and this is nothing but my one incentive, motivation to continue my production further. So a profit or loss will be determined by, if the price is greater than average total cost, then the firm makes profit. If the price is less than average total cost, then the firm is making a loss. And if the price is exactly equals to the average total cost, then they are at the break even. So the total cost equals, so you can see the marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and the same covers the total cost. So this is the break even, no profit no loss condition, and this is the at the same time profit maximization level of output. This is nothing but the break even point, again our cost function, right? Where the total revenue equals total cost. Now over here, remember one thing, that we try to maximize in perfect competition. We try to maximize, remember, we try to maximize the total profit, not the per unit profit. Yes, what we try to maximize, the total profit, not the per unit profit, because we know at the long run, this is a short run phenomena, at the long run we will be in such a condition at the break even. Yes, so in the short run we will try to maximize profit, yes, not the per unit profit. So what we do, when we are at this diagram, we will produce Q2, not Q1. Q2 says marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and my per unit profit is P minus ATC, it is smaller c. Whereas if I am producing Q1, where marginal cost intersecting the average total cost, what we observe in a break even as well, but your marginal revenue is much higher as in compared to in Q2, but this total area, this total profit is smaller than this area. Mathematically it can be proved. So in perfect competition we try to increase the the total profit, not the per unit profit. So we will not look at this P minus ATC. We will always produce that particular quantity where the marginal revenue equals marginal cost, not where marginal cost equals average total cost. Okay, in the short run. In the long run we are eventually where marginal cost equals average total cost equals marginal revenue equals average revenue equals price. We'll come to that. I am not again deliberating on this. So you can see this is the total demand and supply for a particular market of CT scans, and this is the market demand determined price 250, where the cost is basically 495, and but they will manufacture over here because the marginal revenue equals marginal cost. They will manufacture over here, they will not manufacture over here because the cost, the loss will be much higher. Yes, this area will be more than this pink area. Yes, if I am manufacturing here, this area will be more than this area. So we will try to minimize our loss here, and the only way to minimize the loss for a particular firm is to manufacture where the marginal revenue equals marginal cost. How we estimate the loss over here? We will extend this line, will produce here, extend this line till average total cost, and this is my total loss, not this. Okay, not from the marginal revenue 2, it's from the marginal revenue 1. We will be in the break even if we can charge each and every customer 495 rupees or dollars. That will be the break even, but now we cannot do that because the market demand or supply determines the price at 250, not in our hand, not in the hand of HeartScan California, so which is a single individual firm. Coming to the next slide, we can see that a short run, a firm which is losing on its economic fronts can continue producing if they are covering the variable cost, or can stop production by shutting down temporarily or completely go out of the business if they cannot really recover the price. Sunk cost is something, a cost that has already been paid and that cannot be recovered. That is the sunk cost. If they can still swallow the sunk cost and have the resilience, they will continue. Otherwise, they will shut down either temporarily or permanently. So this is the graph which intends to show the so whether to produce or to shut down in the short run. And we can see, I will just move this, and we can see that here we have got all the curves: marginal cost, average total cost, average variable cost, and the average variable cost, if we can, excuse me, so if the marginal cost covers the average variable cost and the price is set there, it's the minimum price we can keep, because that is the shutdown point. Anything beyond that, I need to shut down. Anything above that, I can still continue the production, right? um, and the break even will be somewhere over here, where marginal cost equals average total cost equals marginal revenues. This will be the break even. Anyways, coming down to the next slide, we can observe that economic profit leads to the entry of new firms, where economic loss pushes away the firms. How economic profit leads to entrance of new firms is, see, when there is economic profit, you know then there will be new firms which will be interested, because they can see their fortunes over there, they can see that they can make money. So suddenly the demand remaining same, the demand does not change, the market demand, this is all a market, okay. The supply increases. The moment there is an excess supply or a rise in supply, the demand remaining same, so naturally that will push the price down from 15 to 10. And you can see, if the moment so when the market price was 15 and they were enjoying a profit over here, and finally, as long as they do not reach the this the break even point, where the price is exactly equals to the marginal cost and equals to the average total cost, then till then there will be new entrants. After that, they will stop entering, because then the price will further go down and they will make losses. So then even if there are new entrants, few will make losses, they will shut down, and then it will go up again. And this is what we see in our next slide, that the losses. So if there is a loss in the market, so the demand also may fall, either the over here, so what happens is there is a loss, and then few goes down, the supply decreases, then the price increases, right? Demand remaining same. The otherwise, like if there is a shortfall, I mean decline in demand, or remaining the supply remaining same, so naturally, if the demand is falling, to allure the new to the customers, they may drop the price, otherwise it will be determined by the market, because the supply remaining same, the demand curve shifts inwards. It's not because of the price, for some other reason the demand is falling, they have moved inside and the price has fallen from 10 to 7. And the moment the price is falling, the supply curve, because this changes because of the price, and any changes because of the price will move along the supply curve or the demand curve. So over here, the supply is falling because the price has dropped, and the moment the supply falls from 10 to 7, you can see that there is an economic loss, and then the supply drops from 80,000 to 50,000, because few may have stopped producing because the price has dropped, and few have stopped producing, so the people are moving out of the market, right? So economic losses lead to exit of farms, so thus the production will decline. In the long run, what happens in the long run, both this entry and exit will balance each other. So if there is a price, it's like the same what we have observed in a supply and demand in a market equilibrium. So over here, what happens if there is a positive profit, then there will be new entrants, as long as it does not lead to a break-even condition, where the price equals marginal revenue equals average revenue equals total cost, average total cost equals marginal cost. And if there is a loss, then few will go down, the supply decreases, then probably because of the supply decreases, then there is an excess demand suddenly, and then the price moves up, and then it again goes back to the normalcy, where the marginal revenue again matches the average total cost, right? Uh, so this is how it balances. So uh, first, price is PE, and then you can see there is a marginal revenue equals marginal cost, which is above the average total cost, and they are making a profit. uh, there is the supply increases, the demand remaining same, supply increases, drops, and it falls down to QE to QE prime, and then you can see now the marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and this is the difference between average cost and marginal revenue, and this is still earning on the positive profit. Further, firms in join, many other firms join the market or the industry. The supply increases to QE double prime, and that leads to the further fall, and it leads to reaches the break even, where the marginal revenue is equals T double prime. This is the demand curve as well, and the price is PE prime double prime, and the quantity is QE double prime, and this is the break even point, right? Um, so in terms of efficiency, there are two types of efficiencies what the perfect competitive markets ensure. One is productive efficiency, the other one is allocative efficiency. What is productive efficiency? The productive efficiency is the situation in which a good or a commodity is being produced at the lowest possible average total cost. So that means where the average total cost is at the minimum point, the point through which the marginal cost passes through. So yes, where shall I keep it? Yeah, the passes through. So you can see this means that the producers minimizes the wastage of resources used in the production process. So the resources the producer is using, the probably the fixed cost, probably the any other cost can be reduced, and this is the most efficient, most optimal production process what the manufacturer are utilizing, and that is why this is minimum. The allocative efficiency, so the productive efficiency, I repeat again, where sorry, productive efficiency is where the producer can minimize the average total cost, right? And that is the optimal production. Allocative efficiency is where the production you know represents the consumer preference, whatever consumer is preferring, and the production is matching that, so there is neither excess demand or excess supply. So every good or service is produced up to that particular point where the last unit provides a marginal benefit to consumers equal to the marginal cost. So the benefits equals cost. Anything beyond that marginal benefit, you can take it as marginal utility. Anything beyond that, the marginal utility, the satisfaction goes down, the demand falls, right? So the demand falls, and the marginal cost is wherever the marginal cost is and the demand falls, that means there is a chance of a loss. So that is not intended. So the last unit that provides a positive marginal benefit, or the marginal benefit exactly equals to the marginal cost. Yes, and it also means that the price of the good will represent the marginal benefit. So whatever I am paying marginal benefit, again marginal utility. Whatever I am getting the benefit, getting the satisfaction, I'm paying exactly that price, right? Similarly, the firms produce up to at the point where the price of the good equals the marginal cost. That means the price will also cover my unit cost with extra production. So that means the price has to cover both the consumer satisfaction, the additional benefit they are gaining with one extra unit of consumption or supply, whatever being marketed, and the same for the farm. They can also cover their cost of the production. So that price should be if we can match the marginal benefit, marginal cost with the price, then that is nothing but the allocative efficiency. In this diagram, you can see at the left hand side, there is a consumer surplus, and we can see that the marginal utility is greater than the marginal cost. Marginal utility, this is the demand, is nothing but the marginal utility. Supply is nothing but the marginal cost, because it comes from the producer side, this comes from the consumer side. So our satisfaction leads to the demand, cost leads to the supply. So, and here utility is more than the cost, so it's an inefficient production if someone is producing and these 40 units are being marketed. where this market demand equals market supply, marginal cost equals marginal utility, and the price represents both the marginal cost and marginal utility, then that is an allocative efficiency. The same for this over here, this side supply is higher than the demand, so you can see there is an excess supply and the marginal cost is higher than marginal utility, again allocatively inefficient. The marginal cost equals marginal utility at this point of equilibrium and the market demand and market supply where the intersects, and the price is 11 rupees, right? So this is allocative efficiency. Both this productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are achieved in a perfectly competitive market. We stop here. Thank you very much. We will meet again in our next lecture, lecture number 10, which is on monopolistic competition and monopoly. So see you. Take care. Bye bye.